I guess it was last week, the NCAA handed down punishment for Michigan. Talked to Chip Patterson Wednesday, and Chip did outline the fact that it really was. I mean, that's a significant financial penalty. Could end up being more than $30 million. And that's not chump change, although Michigan's got 16 zillion alumni. They could raise that. But anyway, it is a significant amount of money. But in spite of malfeasance that might have helped them win a national championship, the university was not told to take down their championship banner, which was won 2 years ago. And I thought about other schools that should probably go back and at least do a PR campaign to reclaim their titles. And then I saw my friend Mark Ennis from ESPN Louisville, who you can follow on Twitter at Mark Ennis. He makes it easy. Actually put it out there. Let's get the banner back up. Mark, I want you to go inside the Yum Center personally and get a big white bed sheet and write on it 2013 national champions.
Well, I would be willing to do that. I need institutional support, I think, to do this. I'd like to think that banner is somewhere still in the Yum Center, and that, like, on a moment's notice, it can be, reinstalled where it was previously. Look, this was you get this with virtually every decision that has anything to do with a team that's also won a national championship around here. We are always scanning for any reason to be upset about or anything that's analogous to where we can sort of point out the inequity of them keeping one versus us not keeping one here in town. So this is always top of mind to most everybody here.
A college fan base feeling that they have been treated unfairly? No way. I can't believe it. Now, in this case, first of all, I've always thought that, and I've been saying this for years, so this is not a new thought to a lot of people. They've heard me say it. I've always thought that taking away a championship officially is really kind of why. We all watched it. We all saw it. You can't take away the good feelings. Can't take away the celebration. All we're doing is we're leaving a little space. It's like an embarrassment. It's like the Scarlet Letter. 2013 in parentheses vacated. It really doesn't serve a ton. The only time it ever vacating wins or things ever serves a purpose is when somebody ends up falling short of a cumulative wins record or titles record. Bobby Bowden, John Calipari won his 500th game in coaching twice, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So that's the only time it really matters. In this case, I just wish the NCAA would go, yeah, you get it back. USC can get their 2004 football title back.
No, listen, I agree with you. It feels like to me, and I think a lot of people have kind of taken away from this, that without saying it, that this felt like an admission, we're never doing that again. Like if you can't vacate a title that's for actually breaking the rules in the game itself. Because you think about everything else, like every other where a title gets vacated, it's like it's indirect. You did these things to get these players, or you did these things, or to keep these players, or whatever it might be, in order to have an advantage in the game, and therefore it's invalid. This is you did this in the game, like at the game, and you can't vacate that one. And like this is such an awkward position for Louisville fans, because we also agree around here that vacating titles is a dumb thing. What you get though is it's like, well, then why was it not dumb here?
Right.
But like, why was it? They somehow found their nerve and religion, about this. And Eric Crawford here in town wrote something really good. There's two kinds of things where the NCAA just kind of looked the other way when it comes to titles and accomplishments. You've had this, where it's like actual cheating at the games, and then you've had fairly substantial things that are icky, like what Louisville got busted for. Let's be real. Mm-hmm. Baylor, Penn State, Michigan State to a somewhat lesser extent, all involved the athletic department and misconduct that was truly gross of a personal nature. And everyone kept everything except for Louisville. And so you end up with Louisville fans in this position of saying, yes, vacating records is dumb, but if we're going to do it, do it, or if we're not, then give us ours back. It's the only one of these that somehow was they felt appropriate about taking it away.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, it's still pretty fresh in everybody's mind. I would be curious, is it whether or not Louisville would pursue like some sort of means to get their title back, and if the NCAA wouldn't go, yeah, you're right. Because frankly, who knows? The NCAA, I'm not saying they'll surprise us by doing something that we would all say, hey, that was pretty nice of them. Because they generally don't do things like that. But everything is random. Mark Ennis, ESPN Louisville, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. You cover the ACC. You have been a member of this, not you personally, but Louisville, been a member of this league, because I'm not a member of the league anymore. My school is now in the Big Ten. Last I checked, that's where Maryland is. The ACC is still now the only conference that will play 8 football games. The SEC announced that they were going to go to 9. Should the ACC join them at 9? I know there's a logistical problem with odd teams in the league and odd number of games, 9. But should the ACC stay at 8 or go to 9?
They shouldn't just automatically go to 9. And they definitely shouldn't just automatically go to 9 because the SEC is. Because like they are in order, I think, as maybe perhaps a bargaining chip. They're going to get a little bit more money, but primarily kind of calling the Big Ten's bluff about what their issues are, so that we can get some, a newer playoff format, get everyone on board. It feels like they're sort of taking away a point of objection from the Big Ten about this. But the ACC, to me, Adam, like you don't get any benefit from that 9th game. And if you think about it, like you just gave away 2 games in basketball this year. You just retracted the schedule from 20 to 18. And how is football going to somehow now go from 8 to 9? You mentioned there's the logistical problem. And more than anything else, Adam, the ACC teams need non-conference games.
Yes.
You don't have inherent quality. You don't have inherent, gravitas in people's minds. The only way you're going to win respect is by beating teams from those other leagues. They don't need to be giving those games away to play each other more. We all have the same problem.
Right.
You need those on. So to me, I don't know that there's anything worth it unless this is the only way that I think it's really worth it. Unless you've been assured that by everyone doing this, you're not going to have 4 auto bids for the Big Ten and the SEC, that you're going to get a 5+11 and that then you can sort of compete for your own spots. If it guaranteed that you're not going to have a bunch of slotted spots for the other leagues, it's probably worth it. But that's the only way to me.
Mark Ennis from ESPN Louisville is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. To me, the Big Ten is standing firm on 4 automatic spots for them in the SEC because the Big Ten knows that all things being equal, they probably won't get 4 teams in. Now, 3 is almost an automatic. I'm still, and I know this sounds like a broken record to a lot of the people listening here, when I just keep using Indiana as an example. It's just proof to me that strength of schedule does not matter, and they're trying to run it back the same way. Penn State's trying to use their formula. Penn State's playing a 2-game season. They may be great. They might ultimately win the national championship, and maybe it'll be in part because they're not going to run a gauntlet where they play more than, at best, they've got 3 losable games on their entire schedule, whether we consider the home game against Indiana or a trip to Iowa a losable game. And I don't for a team that's as good as Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State. That's the schedule, plus the Big Ten championship game. That's a great gig if you can get away with it. There isn't a chance that an ACC school would get away with that. What kind of PR game is the Big Ten running?
Yeah, I think you're totally onto something. Every argument that you really hear from Tony Bettiti and others coming out of the Big Ten, to me, they reek of insecurity. Of just not thinking that that their teams will hold up under a system where we kind of evaluate everybody. Nothing about it. There's certainly no popular clamor for these auto bids or anything like that. No one wants to watch Iowa and Illinois in a 6-3 Big Ten game for the right to go to the playoffs. No one's asking for that. And I think you're totally right. This is about guaranteeing teams that are probably not going to be really worthy in most years a chance to play their way in. And I also think this, and we don't talk much about this, that the 4-4, 2-2-1, or whatever it might be, I think the Big Ten thinks that they're getting like a backdoor cap on SEC teams at 4.
Right.
By doing this, and I don't think it would play out that way anyway. And nobody else wants what they want, and surely that eventually the numbers have to matter here. No one's asking for that except for them. And to add to it, finally, we know that this is at least in part kind of a sop to CBS and NBC, who aren't thrilled with the Big Ten games that they're getting in this new TV deal, and that they want these new games and to be able to put them on those networks. And we are all always changing to help accommodate the Big Ten, and I think a lot of people are kind of tired of that.
Yeah, I mean, and if their networks are not happy, I mean, it doesn't seem, and maybe some of those schools will change their non-conference scheduling habits, but they have the worst non-conference schedule of the 4 major conferences. I did this. I mean, I just went through every Power 4 non-conference schedule. And to me, it's to their detriment. The ACC's got 28 non-conference games against Power 4 or Notre Dame. That's insane. 12 of their teams play 2 power schools outside of ACC play. Now, they're not all top of those other conferences, but enough of them are. I mean, Clemson plays a non-conference game against LSU. They have the game at South Carolina at the end of the season. South Carolina is going to finish in the top half of that league. So, we do this. Sometimes it's to our detriment, and certainly they have to win more of these games. But the Big Ten isn't even trying, and they're getting away with it.
You're 100% right about that. And just to bring it back to something locally, I mean, Louisville had Indiana. Had a 3-game series with them. Indiana canceled it after 1, and they bought out of the Virginia series as well. Meanwhile, Louisville has a home and home coming up the next 2 years with Georgia. Which one of these are we supposed to be rewarding here?
Right. And Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Florida, the rare SEC schools that do extend themselves in non-conference play. And it's easy to do that when you are typically, Texas I guess does too at least once, when you are typically near the top of the food chain. You're probably going to win these games, at least it's a 50-50 proposition, and you probably win most if not all of your other games, so you can get away, especially in an expanded playoff era, you can get away with a loss. But yeah, I give credit to those schools. And the notion that the Big Ten wanted the SEC to get level with them. They were already ahead of them, the SEC, in terms of schedule strength, just with conference schedule. Man, in some ways, this could be beneficial to the other leagues that the SEC is going to 9 league games because they're going to take on more else.
You're not wrong about that at all. And I think the interesting thing will be what is life like for the bottom half of the SEC going forward, because there's really just no escaping Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, probably Arkansas, maybe South Carolina or Missouri. Like, you're going to play 9 conference games now. There's going to be years you play 5 SEC road games.
Yeah.
But if Kentucky does everything they can possibly do, like the best version of themselves, you're still going to wake up every single day at best like the 13th best team in the SEC.
Yeah, we have these conversations here like the Tarheel fans or State fans want to be part of the SEC. I'm like, why are you so anxious to go 3-6 in league play?
Well, especially if it's really true that now that the ACC's done it, that you're going to get an emboldened push for uneven revenue distribution in the SEC and the Big Ten.
Uh-huh.
Like like if that happens, what's the allure of any of this for anybody else?
Well, that's
like,
true,
what would
right?
be the advantage of being in the Big Ten if you also do uneven revenue distribution? And why would Ohio State agree to the same share as Rutgers going forward, right? Like, for what reason would you do that? I don't really know what the appeal of any of these conferences is at that point.
Well, we'll have a conversation about what the future looks like another time, but I'm not sure we're going to have football conferences. In 5 years from now, who knows what it's going to look like. Mark Ennis, ESPN Louisville. I always appreciate your time, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. Maybe I'll see you soon.
All right, buddy. Anytime. Thanks.
Take care. Mark Ennis. Check if you're in Louisville. Check him out.